Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Friday the 10th of June 2022. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon we bring you the 5 news items that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1, the S&P ASX 200 closed down 1.25% today to 6,932 points. It's the lowest close since late January. And there really hasn't been much good news this week at all, with the market closing down 4.2% for the 5 sessions. In fact, it's the worst weekly performance since 2020. About 85% of the top 200 stocks finished lower today, with the banks once again tumbling. Commonwealth Bank, Westpac and ANZ all finished down more than 1%, and Macquarie Group was off 3.3%. Diversified miner South32 has been the share market darling. In fact, it's up more than 60% over the past year. But today it fell nearly 4% and was the worst performer among the large caps. Wesfarmers was down more than 2%. Normally on days like today, you have a specific sector leading the market lower. Well, real estate investment trusts played that role. Market leader Goodman Group fell 2.2%. Scentre Group, they own all those Westfield malls, fell 3.1%, and Dexus was down 3.6%. Mind you, every sector went backwards today. The worst performer was Lynas Rare Earths, off nearly 6%. The best was Cloud Accounting Group Xero, which rose 4%. Quite the day. Story number 2, New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said formal talks with Anthony Albanese today constituted a reset of relations between the two countries after some issues of friction. Previous Prime Minister Scott Morrison wasn't close to Ms Ardern, I think we can say that, mostly over a policy disagreement about deporting New Zealand citizens with criminal records, even if they'd grown up in Australia. Mr Albanese said there might be room to refine that policy. Mr Albanese and Ms Ardern said the two countries were lockstep in their approach to Pacific nations and China's ambitions and the desire to defend national sovereignty in the Pacific. They pledged to engage Pacific nations on economic cooperation, climate change and foreign aid, and to ensure increased communication through parliamentary delegations. Story number 3, the monkeypox outbreak is causing increasing concerns around the country. Victoria recorded its 3rd case of monkeypox today, bringing the national tally to 8. The man is in his 40s and had recently returned home from Europe. Monkeypox is endemic in Africa, but pretty rare elsewhere. It can be spread through bodily contact, respiratory droplets, and contact with infected surfaces or items. Story number 4, AGL Energy has extended the time it needs to fix its Loy Yang A coal power plant by 6 weeks. Not good news given the spike in energy prices at the moment and the shortage of supply. Loy Yang is Victoria's largest power station, and 1 unit at the plant has been out of action since April 15 due to an electrical fault. It was supposed to come back online on August 1, but AGL today said that would now be mid-September because it's struggling to find the equipment needed to repair the unit. Then, at lunchtime today, things got worse. AGL lost half its capacity at the Bayswater coal plant in New South Wales' Hunter Valley. That's 2 units, 2 of the 4, and because another unit is already out of action, Bayswater is now operating at just 25% capacity and will be for the next week or so. And finally, story number 5, Wall Street closed down sharply lower this morning with the S&P 500 off almost 2.5%, the biggest one-day drop in 3 weeks. Tech stocks were sold off with the Nasdaq falling 2.7%. Apple, Meta, Platforms and Amazon all fell by more than 3%. The fear in the US, like Australia, is that economic growth will slow appreciably later this year. Adding to the sombre mood was the European Central Bank. It said it was getting ready to start lifting interest rates. Now, the ECB hasn't been a market leader on rates, that's for sure. The US, Canada, the UK, New Zealand and Australia have all started lifting interest rates, but Europe hasn't. The region's been hit hard by rising energy prices and, of course, the war in Ukraine. Now, the European Bank expects inflation to reach nearly 7%, so it wants to start lifting interest rates. It faces the challenge of soaring inflation, which means higher rates, and slower growth. In fact, the world faces that challenge, but arguably Europe is more at risk. That's it for the afternoon report for Friday, the 10th of June, 2022. Most of the country's having a long weekend. I hope you all enjoyed. But don't forget, Michael Thompson, Adam Lang and I will be back tomorrow morning for the weekend edition of Fear and Greed. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.